Hi viewers, welcome back. Yet another video on the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill. So this is Subathra Mylsamy, partner at AK Mylsamy and Associates. So let us dive into the topic which I have mentioned before. Now, privacy is the fundamental right, and every previous judgments by the courts has proved the same, and therefore protection of the data is of utmost importance. Now, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has been deliberating on various aspects of this digital personal data and its protections, and has formulated with a draft bill which is titled as the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2022. The bill will completely establish the comprehensive legal framework governing the digital personal data protection in India. Now, what is this Digital Personal Data Protection Bill as such? Now, the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill frames out the rights as well as the duties of the citizen, which here a specific terminology is given, which is called as the Digital Nagrik on one hand, and the obligations to the used and collected data lawfully of the data fiduciary on the other hand. Now, the purpose of this draft bill as such is to provide for the processing of digital personal data in a manner that recognizes both the right of the individuals to protect their personal data and the need to process their personal data for the lawful purposes. Now, you need to also understand that this is a completely revised bill which was introduced 3 months after withdrawing the earlier Personal Data Protection Bill in 2019. Let's see what are the key features of the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill as such. Now, there are definitions which are being given out under this bill. First is the data principle. It refers to the individual whose data is being collected. Next is the data fiduciary. Now, this is an entity. It can be an individual, a company, it can be a firm or a state, etc., which decides the purpose and the means of the processing of an individual's personal data as such. Next is significant data fiduciary. Now, these are those who deal with a high volume of personal data as such. The central government will define who is designated under the category based on the number of factors. Now, what are the rights available to the individual under this bill? Number one, the right to information about the personal data. Now, the bill ensures that individuals should be able to access for their basic information of the data principle. Now, for example, with whom the data will it be shared? So, I have the right to know if my data is being collected by an entity. My data, with whom are you going to share? We have the right to know about that. Next is the right to consent. Now, individuals have to and need to give consent before their data is being processed, and every individual should know what items of their personal data, that is a data fiduciary, wants to collect and the purposes of such collection and for further processing. Individuals also have the right to withdraw the consent from the data fiduciary. The third most interesting right, I must say, is the right to correct and erase the personal data. Now, the data principals will have the right to demand the correction and erase the data collected by the data fiduciary in accordance with the applicable laws. So, upon such request, the data fiduciary can either correct it, update it, or erase the data which is being given by the individuals. Now, the right to grievance redressal. This is also very, very important. The data principal shall have the right to readily available means of registering a grievance with the data fiduciary. When the issue is not addressed within 7 days, then the data principal shall complain to the Data Protection Board of India, which is said to be constituted under this act to keep an eye on the non-compliance of these provisions. The right to nominate. Now, the data principals will also have the right to nominate an individual who will exercise these rights in the event of a death or incapacity, like in any other aspect where you can nominate someone else to carry on the work which you want to. So, the bill also here allows for a cross-border storage and transfer of data to certain notified countries and territories, provided they have a suitable data security landscapes and the government can access the data of Indians from here. What are the basic principles of this 2022 bill? First, the usage of personal data by organizations must be done in a lawful, transparent and fair manner of concerned individuals. The second aspect is the personal data must only be used for the purposes of which it has been collected. The third, the principle talks of data minimization, that is, limiting the collection of personal information to what is directly relevant and necessary. The fourth aspect is the principle which puts an emphasis on data accuracy. The fifth principle, which I feel is a very important principle, is it talks of how personal data that is collected, it cannot be stored perpetually by default, and the storage should be limited for a fixed duration. That is, if you have joined an organization, they collect your personal data. The minute you leave the organization, the information about your personal data also has to be erased. The next principle says that there should be a reasonable safeguard measures to ensure there is no unauthorized collection or processing of the personal data. And the seventh principle states that the person who decides the purpose and means of processing of the personal data should be accountable for such kind of processing. So to sum it up on this Personal Data Protection Bill of 2022, I would like to say that the country is going to see a strict enforcement regime around the data protection, and it is also beneficial and it is good for the betterment of our country. And we need to wait for the final enactment of this bill, which will speak volumes about the addition or the subtractions from the bill. And this bill is also currently awaiting a lot of responses from the public, which is opened up till the 17th of December 2022. We hope that the Personal Data Protection Bill will be enacted soon and will help the public in large to protect their personal data. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope this video would have been very informative for you. See you next time. Thank you.